world across continents, and this comes as Prime Minister Narendra Modi received a telephone call from Brazil and the Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. The two leaders reportedly exchanged views on various regional and global issues of mutual interest. The two also reiterated their commitment to take the strategic partnership to new heights. In his post on X, in his telephone conversation with the Brazilian president, PM Modi said that the countries are committed to deepening trade, energy, tech and defence partnership. The call took place a day after the Brazilian president said that he will not call US President Donald Trump to negotiate with him over tariffs, but will invite him to the COP. He had said that he would call PM Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping instead. Well, thank you, Rabinder, for staying with us once again. We're just going to keep this brief because we are shorter on time. But do you think that, obviously, two BRICS nations coming together, both facing tariffs at 50%, is Trump's tariff action potentially alienating the US and potentially leading to strengthen ties with other key US trading partners that might weaken the US in the long run?
Of course it is doing that. What the US calculates is that, okay, let others come together, but this is the last heave-ho push, and I'll make sure that I'm the dominant player ever. These emerging clusters have to be, slammed down. That's what the US wants. So it's pushing other nations to, even though they want to keep one leg with America and American partnerships and trade and all, but all of the nations are very actively and urgently looking and seeking other connecting nodes, exchanges, networks, and such.
Yes, Rabinder, thank you ever so much for joining us on all three of those talking points. Lots to discuss surrounding tariffs, and we will continue to do so here at NewsX World. Moving on now, and in a major diplomatic move, US President Donald Trump is set to host the leaders of Armenia and Azerbaijan at the White House today for the signing of a historic peace framework. The agreement aims to establish a concrete pathway to peace between the two nations, long at odds over the Nagorno-Karabakh region. A central feature of the deal is the creation of a strategic transit corridor through Armenia, connecting Azerbaijan to its Nakhchivan enclave. In a key provision, Armenia will grant the United States exclusive development rights to the corridor, which will be called the Trump Route for International Peace and Prosperity, also known as the TRIPP, operated under Armenian law. The US will sublease the land to a consortium for infrastructure and management. Officials say the corridor will help unlock the region's economic potential and reduce the risk of further hostilities. The two leaders will also sign documents calling for the dissolution of the Minsk Group, which has mediated the conflict since 1992. Well, joining us to discuss the significance of this signing today, Jim Rice, Professor of International Law, joining us from Vigan in the Philippines. Jim, as always, such a pleasure to have you on the programme. Could you provide some context on this conflict? Of course, it's been raging for some time, but many people may not know quite how significant this is between Armenia and Azerbaijan.
Well, again, this is a conflict that emerged after the breakup of the former Soviet Union, and it seems to have emerged during the 1980s as a kind of ethnic and sectarian conflict. And in terms of the military size of the military force, it seems that the Azerbaijanis are the stronger force. Armenia is the weaker. Obviously, they are interested in doing this deal. I must confess, this term, the Trump corridor, is a new term to me. Again, I would wish all of the parties the best in terms of the politics and their economic relations going forward. But quite frankly, it seems to me that this is yet another example where Trump is trying to aggrandize himself and cast himself as the peacemaker, and at the same time secure some kind of economic benefits from the United States interests.
Jim Rice, unfortunately we don't have any further time on this topic, but you will be staying with us.